Hello everybody, my name is Griffin, talking to you guys from Rishi Outpost, and today I am reviewing the first story arc of the new Darth Vader comic series published by Marvel, written by Greg Pak, Darth Vader, Dark Heart of the Sith. Overall, I thought this arc was pretty good, although there were some aspects of it that I thought could have been fleshed out a little more smoothly. The first issue of this series picks up right where The Empire Strikes Back ends, similarly to the flagship Star Wars comic did as well. I thought the first few panels of Vader reflecting on the confrontation with his son were very cool and set a good tone for the series. Then the story takes a bit of an odd turn in my opinion, where Darth Vader says he wants to track down everyone who hid Luke and made him not want to join the dark side and destroy them. Don't get me wrong, the motivation for Vader is definitely there, but rationally this doesn't make any sense at this point of the timeline. He knows Luke grew up on Tatooine with his aunt and uncle, and he knows that they're dead. This is shown in the first of the Darth Vader-centric comic series that came out a few years ago, where Vader goes to the Lars homestead when he was looking for Luke shortly after the events of A New Hope. So he knows they're dead, and he knows Obi-Wan trained Luke to an extent, but he already killed him too. So Vader already knows the people who raised Luke and the man who briefly trained him as a Jedi are all dead, but he goes off looking for people other than Luke Skywalker anyway. I thought this was a weird writing choice, all things considered, but I guess it can be interpreted as Vader being so desperate for any clue to Luke's whereabouts or anyone to punish because he's so angry that Luke refused to join him and escaped on Cloud City. While this does kind of bug me, there were enough other cool elements of this comic that still made it fun to read. Darth Vader has a new droid sidekick for most of this arc. Z67 is an Imperial forensics droid who helps Vader attempt to investigate who hid Padme and eventually his son from him. He's a fun new character throughout the arc, and I was a little bit sad to see his demise in the last issue. As Vader and Zed search for clues about who hid Padme and Luke, they stumble across the Amidalans, a group of people from Naboo who wanted to find out how Padme died and avenge her. This group included Sabe, who Vader initially mistook for Padme, as well as Captain Typho, among others. Surprisingly, Vader teams up with them briefly because he thinks they have a clue about who hid Padme and Luke, but it was really a trap because the Amidalans think that Vader killed her. It was really cool seeing these characters from the prequel trilogy era pop back up here. Even if I thought the way they were written into the comic was a bit strange, I really enjoyed the twists and turns of Vader teaming up with them and then them betraying him. I really like the idea of the Amidalans in general because they really show how Padme's legacy still carries on into the time of the original trilogy, even though she's not really talked about in the movies very much. After the Amidalans betray Vader, he fights them off and breaks into Padme's tomb, and Zeb scans her corpse, finding a medical implant that the droid is able to trace to Paulus Massa. Vader challenges the remaining Amidalans to face him there. The final issue is a climactic battle between Vader, his death troopers, and the Amidalans, and he wipes them out, although Sabe and Typho aren't seen in this battle. I thought the action scenes in this arc in general, and particularly in this last battle, had a lot of potential, but left a lot more to be desired. While the concept of Vader and Death Troopers facing off against a small army of rebels sounds really cool, it doesn't really look that visually impressive as it's pictured. Visually, in general, this arc had some cool panels, but very much falls where most of the recent Star Wars comics have, with very mediocre visuals overall. And some of the action scenes could have been drawn a lot better. After the battle, Vader finds little on Paulus Massa to help him in his search, other than a holo from one of the droids that was present when Padme gave birth and then passed away. The recording sputters in and out, and Vader sees Padme saying that she knows there's still good in him. This was a fantastic scene and was probably my favorite in the whole arc. We already know that Vader is conflicted at this point, but this really drives it home. Overall, this was a pretty good first arc, and I'm looking forward to seeing where the story goes from here. I'm hoping the writing makes a little bit more sense to me going forward, and I'm optimistic that it will. I also hope this and the other comic series that are ongoing now in this era are building towards something, as there is only 1 year between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and there's a decent amount of character development that happens in there. So I don't really want to see everyone messing around on inconsequential side missions for 100 issues. But I'm optimistic that they have a plan. Overall, I'd say if you're interested in Star Wars comics, especially ones that tie in closely with the movies, this is a good one to check out. It's not one of my all-time favorites so far, but I do think it's an enjoyable read. Well, that's all I have for you guys this time. If you're reading this comic, let us know what you thought of it in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Star Wars content every week. Until next time, thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you, always.